The timing of Haley's assaults on Trump is ill-timed. The University of Virginia Center for Politics director Larry Sabato said that the assaults on former President Trump by former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley were too late to influence the GOP primary. Sabato claimed on Saturday night's CNN appearance that Haley's digs against Trump were long overdue and pointed out that no other Republican contender had directly challenged Trump until Chris Christie, the former governor of New Jersey, who withdrew from the race 2 weeks ago. "It is certainly too little, too late," Sabato remarked, alluding to Haley's previous attacks on Trump, such as her criticism of Trump's mental health after he seemed to confuse her with former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, during a rally on Friday regarding the assault on January 6. Sabato made the following statement about the Republican presidential candidates: "Chris Christie is the only one who really took out Trump in the campaign. Christie is no longer running for president, but he was." Haley and the other Republican candidates still face the challenge of differentiating themselves from the former president while still garnering enough support to clinch the party's nomination, he said, even when considering Christie's strategy. "Absolutely, his departure from the campaign speaks volumes about the challenging circumstances that each of these candidates, including Nikki Haley, encountered," Sabato remarked. "The MAGA party is this. Since this is the party of Donald Trump, if you want to be nominated against him, you'll need to persuade people that Trump isn't competent or won't be able to win the election in November, without offending them to the point where they won't vote for you. Not to mention how impossible it is. Trump is carrying his lead from the Iowa caucuses, which he won by more than 50 points, to New Hampshire, where he will compete in the first-in-the-nation primary on January 23, according to Sabato's analysis. In a nonpartisan political research newsletter called Crystal Ball, the editor-in-chief issued a warning that New Hampshire is different and could present an opportunity for Haley, who has been steadily rising in the polls, to pull off an upset win. What Sabato said was that they are aware New Hampshire is distinct. Additionally, he mentioned that this is the one venue where Haley has a chance to pull off an upset, but that it isn't looking that way just now. At 46.7%, Trump is presently ahead of Haley in New Hampshire, who is in second place, by 11.4%. The Hill/Decision Desk HQ aggregate of polls shows that the former governor of South Carolina has 35.3% of the vote, much surpassing Republican Ron DeSantis of Florida, who has 5.8%. "Sometimes, you just never know until you see the votes coming in there. There are occasions when the people of New Hampshire will shock everybody," Sabato said as his final point. In an effort to bolster his position before Tuesday's New Hampshire primary, Donald Trump encircled himself with prominent figures from the state where Nikki Haley was born and raised. At a rally held at the NHU Arena in Manchester on Saturday night, Trump was accompanied by South Carolina's Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, House Speaker, and several other high-ranking officials. South Carolina's Governor, Henry McMaster, was also in attendance. On stage with Trump were the state authorities, as well as U.S. Representatives Joe Wilson, William Timmons, and Russell Fry. Trump boasted that nearly all South Carolina politicians were supporting him. Before the race heads to South Carolina for next month's pivotal early round, residents there asked voters to help Trump win in New Hampshire. House Speaker Murrell Smith of South Carolina promised to finish the job in his state if the candidate did so and won by a large margin. Haley is aiming to win over independent and unaffiliated votes in New Hampshire and make it a two-person struggle between her and Trump. The appearances are another setback for her from South Carolina. It follows Trump's endorsement of South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, who was present at a Concord rally with him the day before. In November, Scott withdrew his own nomination for the Republican Party. Scott became one of the most prominent black Republicans in the country a decade ago when Haley appointed him to the Senate from the House while they were both serving as governors of their respective states. Trump already had the support of McMaster and other high-ranking officials. Despite being twice elected governor, the first time by defeating McMaster in the GOP primary, Haley's relationship with many of her state's Republican power brokers is notoriously strained. It was evident from her Saturday response that she had not forgotten about that rivalry. "I'm sorry, was that the candidate I defeated in the governor's race?" she asked. Inquiring Mind Betsy Ankney, Haley's campaign manager, similarly downplayed the attendance at the Bloomberg News event, saying that endorsements had never been Nikki's game. Trump vehemently opposed Haley and the voting regulations of New Hampshire on Saturday. These laws permit unaffiliated people to participate in the Republican or Democratic primary, depending on their preference. The contest is predicted to be very closer than in leadoff Iowa due to the state's more moderate electorate. Pay no attention to surveys. Turn out the ballots. What we need is a decisive victory over these evildoers, Trump declared. On the other hand, Haley brought attention to a goof that Trump committed during his rally the previous night on Saturday. On multiple occasions, Trump implied that Haley had been responsible for maintaining order in the Capitol on January 6, 2021, when a crowd of Trump supporters attempted to prevent the certification of his election loss by storming the building. The Capitol that day did not have Haley. In addition, Trump has never acknowledged or addressed the fact that his administration failed to secure the Capitol or took too long to attempt to disperse the rioters. His confusion allegedly led to his downfall. Haley stated that he was actually referring to Nancy Pelosi when he made the comment. "We cannot have someone else whose mental fitness to handle the pressures of the presidency is called into question." On Saturday, Trump, 77, sought to defend his own mental sharpness after frequently attempting to imply that Joe Biden, 81, is not bright enough to be president. In his remarks, Trump claimed to have aced it on a mental exam. "Now that I'm 77 years old, I'm quite okay being 80. That's a significant difference," he remarked. "I feel my mind is stronger now than it was 25 years ago," he remarked a few minutes later. Some South Carolina voters remained steadfast in their support for other candidates, even though their state's top elected Republican and a large portion of New Hampshire's congressional delegation endorsed Trump this week. Sandra Chase remarked, "I'm a strong Republican. And I just vote Republican because I think they have a lot in common with supporting the United States and the regular citizens of the United States." After attending an event for GOP presidential candidate Ron DeSantis in Lexington, South Carolina, on Saturday afternoon, New Hampshire's independent voters are seen to give Haley more of a chance to gain ground. Thus, DeSantis has taken his sights off of the Granite State since finishing second in Starter, Iowa. On the contrary, he has spent the past 3 days in South Carolina campaigning. Chase stated that she had supported Trump in the past, but she wanted to change her vote this time around. Her reasoning was simple: she wanted to choose the best candidate, and in her opinion, that guy is Ron DeSantis. However, it is perfectly acceptable for individuals to back whichever cause they feel strongly about. This article was contributed to by Associated Press video journalist Joe Frederick of Peterborough, New Hampshire, reporter Meg Kinnard of Lexington, South Carolina, and AP national politics writer Steve Peoples of Keene, New Hampshire. Periodical publication.